which is really important. And the third area we're going to talk about is a thing called EQ. Now, question to you, what is EQ? What subject does EQ stand for? EQ.
Emotional intelligence.
Ah, gold star for you. Thank you very much. Have you studied anything to do with emotional intelligence?
Well, I think while working on my final year project, you get really stressed with all that workload. So, yeah, I think I'd managed all that workload through working with EQ.
Great. The only thing I have problem with is I don't know where they get the E from the Q out of emotional
Yeah.
intelligence. I think it's emotional quotient or something rather. I don't know. But you're right. But emotional intelligence, along with the other two pillars, role modeling and of course confidence and presence, make up the core foundations of good, strong leadership. Those three pillars. And I've got a handout to put into into the chat after this is finished. But they're the three. So I'm going to start off with emotional intelligence. First of all, let's look at a description of what emotional intelligence is. I know what it makes up. Could could you can anyone describe what emotional intelligence actually is?
Emotional intelligence is that how you deal with the emotions that in some situations you are feeling sad, but the environment does not allow you to become and the environment wants you not to react that way. For example, I'll quote an example. For example, we are in a funeral. We are not required to laugh at that place. We have to manage our emotions accordingly. So, this is emotional intelligence, that how to react in a specific situation and handling our emotions accordingly.
It's a good description. The gold star. That's very good. But it is only one part of it because but you're correct. You're absolutely correct. It starts with self-awareness, basically. I'll go through the five, but it does start with self-awareness. And what you said, it's self-awareness of the environment that you're in. And that is really, really good. But it's self-awareness of more than just an environment. It's self-awareness of your own, how you're feeling at any point in time. Right? Now, I'll just skip forward very quickly. Why is all this important to understand? Because if you get really good at emotional intelligence for yourself in terms of self-awareness and behavior, which we're going to talk about, you will become a better people skilled person because then you'll be able to say, well, this is how I feel. How are other people feeling at the same time? So if you work on yourself, you become extremely good at knowing how other people are feeling or how other people are behaving or why they're even behaving like that. And so it's so critical to get yourself right first, and then it by naturally it'll just pass on to you become a better person dealing with other people, better role model, better everything. So I just want to preface that why it's so important as part of a leadership. Knowing yourself. All right, let's go through the five areas then. The five areas is the core components. It's, I'm sorry, bit of a malfunction here. Yeah, so that's what I say, self-awareness. Self-awareness, what does it mean? Well, it means knowing how you're feeling at any given time. More importantly, the triggers that trigger your thoughts or your emotions or your behavior, right? Now, this is really, I know I'm going a little bit deep here, but when you, for example, I practice emotion intelligence at least three times a day, right? Morning, noon, and late afternoon. And I ask myself, how am I feeling right now? And why am I feeling like this? And what is contributing to that? And sometimes um, you can, you become very aware of the triggers. You know, why am I feeling sad? Why am I feeling anxious or happy? Or what is it that's making me feel like I am right now, today, right now. Now, if you ask yourself that two or three times a day, every day, a pattern will start forming. Oh, I'm my happiest when I am painting, or I'm happiest when I'm talking to other people, or I'm within my community that I'm very safe, or I feel anxious when I experience things out of my control, and you become very self-aware, and that's the very first of one of five areas of emotional intelligence. Self-aware, to become self-aware. What triggers you? What is your mood? What is influencing you, good and bad, happy and sad, anxious and stressed, but if you know what it is. Now, sometimes you might even forget to ask yourself, and people say, well, how can I create a habit of testing myself? Well, I used to use a rubber band on my wrist. Actually, I stopped doing that because a lot of people with bad habits use a rubber, like, I don't know, different addictions. They pull the rubber band on the wrist and ping, and oh, okay, it hurts. It memorizes you to do something. I don't do that anymore. I actually have a technique where I have a drink. It might be a drink of water or a coffee or a tea or something like that. Um, Whenever I take a drink of something, I'm saying, oh, how am I feeling right now? How am I feeling? What are my emotionals right now? What is influencing how I feel right now? And through the day, I probably have several drinks of water or tea or whatever. And so it trains you to constantly be aware of how you're feeling. That's number one. So before I move on, does anyone else do that already? Have you ever stopped yourself and say, why am I feeling like this? Give me a response.
Not me.
Sometimes when I'm like really emotionally drained and I feel like what is influencing this sort of storm in my head, I think that's when I do it, not like the way you do it, like 3 or 4 times per day.
Okay. So at least you know what I'm talking about and what you can do. But what I encourage is to purposely practice emotional intelligence. It's going to make you better as a human being. It's going to make you a better person to relate to other people, to inspire other people, to be a bit better leader, to be a better role model, or simply to be a happier person yourself. To constantly ask yourself, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling like this? Okay, moving on to number two. Number two is self-regulation. Okay, so now I know why I'm feeling. What can I do about it? Maybe I'm feeling angry. Something happened, and all of a sudden, oh, I wish that didn't happen. What can you do about it? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, there's a thing called a 4-second pause. And you've probably heard this before. Most people don't practice it. They talk about don't write an angry email. Pause, stop. See how you're feeling before you put those words on an email. Um, I used to have a delay in my email, even a 30-second delay. When you push send, it doesn't send it immediately. It sends it in 30 seconds time. Oh, did I attach that document? Oh, really? I shouldn't have said that. No, no, no. I've cancel that. But there are certain things you can do, either not reacting immediately, and that's the 4-second rule. The other thing is to ask yourself, okay, this upset me. Um, is my response helpful or is it reactive? Now think about that. Something happens to you, whether it be at work or in your personal life, but your response is the way I'm feeling now, is it helpful to the situation or is it simply reactive? And that's a really important question to ask yourself. Write yourself a note, enter your note to self. Ask yourself, am I reacting to something or am I helpful or not? And the other thing is create a space between emotion and action. In other words, just leave that either pause or be self-aware that, okay, I'm feeling stressed. I'm self-aware that I'm feeling stressed. I've identified the problem, what is making me feel stressed. I choose not to react immediately. You know what? I wish it wasn't like that, and I still feel stressed. I'm not saying this is going to stop your stress, by the way. You still feel stressed. But if you become aware, that's your first point. Because then you can choose, well, you know what? I'm just going to go for a walk in the park. I'm going to cool down. I'm going to take a breath, some fresh air, glass of water, or take some deep breathing exercises, and then I'm going to come back to it, and then I'm going to write a really angry email or something. I don't know. But you can choose how you react rather than a natural reaction. Does that make sense? Yeah, and that's good. Okay, number three. Three. Goodness. Um, social skills. What does it mean? Managing relationships, communication, resolving conflict. Okay, so the third part of emotional intelligence is your actual skills on dealing with other people, particularly if something has occurred from another human being rather than you know, an event. Some events are out of your control, but some things that affect you are caused by another human being. So the third part of emotional intelligence is your ability to deal with the situation. How are you going to talk to that other human being? It might be something as simple as um, the I statement. What you did makes me feel like this. How can we resolve it? Or it might be other skills that you can learn about communication with other people, not angry emails, but communication. Um, I use a technique. I've used it for many years now. I'll tell it now. When someone makes a decision, I think that's a stupid decision that I don't even understand. I, and it makes me angry. I go back to that person. I say, can you help me understand why you made that decision? Can you help me understand why you made that decision? Now, I'm not criticizing. I'm not saying that's a stupid decision and that makes me angry and that's stupid and I don't know. You're being helpful, aren't you? See how you've turned it around? Can you help me understand? So you're asking them for help, even though you're like, "Ah," but you're asking, can you help me understand why that decision was made? You can even take it away from them. Why, instead of saying why you made that decision, why that decision was made. And then shut up and listen. And you'll be amazed. You'll be absolutely astounded how people react to that. One, they're not expecting it. They're expecting like a comment or something, a reaction. But if you just take a second, can you tell me how that decision was made? Why that decision was made? And the nice thing is like peeling an onion. If you get a response from that question, you can then peel the onion down into one more layer. Well, really? Okay, that's interesting. So, and you can almost say the same question again. So the decision was made based on that. Can you please explain that a little bit more? Do you know if a decision is really bad, it won't take you more than three questions to unravel the whole thing. It'll make absolute nonsense. Some of the best decisions where people say, "Oh, okay, we're going to do this," and you say, "Well, why do you do that?" "Oh, it's based on this." Well, please explain that. Honestly, the whole thing will just look stupid. It'll look silly when you ask that. So anyway, so please, I'll see if I can put that into the chat as well. But yeah, so number three is your social skills of how to deal with emotional, how do you not only decisions, but how things are affecting you and your ability to deal with other people. Okay. And all of that comes down to becoming self-aware of those five things. Self-awareness. How am I feeling? What is my emotional intelligence right now? How am I feeling? Because if you get very, very good at that, you will then know how other people are feeling the same. And you become a really good people person when you start to know, okay, well, this is how I'm feeling. And I know that person is feeling sad right now. And you can just practice empathy and all of this contributes to leadership, but not only in a team, but leadership of your person, your kids, your family will start looking at you and say, okay, well, babe, they trust, they're doing what you say you're going to do. You have empathy for the way you feel and you become a better human being just, on yeah, on leadership for yourself. Any comments before I move on to the next pillar of thing? Okay. I'll move on because out of the three, that was the one I really, really, really wanted to emphasize because I know how much it's made. It has helped me in my life. Thank you so much. And thank you to the other lady. Honor your words. You'll see that all over the social media in the next 7 days. I'm going to make a big, I'm going to blow that up. Honor your words. I think that's so, that's cool. Yeah, that's really good. But look, thank you very much for sharing. And I myself, I really appreciate these sessions. As I say, my life revolves around trying to help other people. Thank you very much. Keep
You.
smiling.